What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Evening Drive. Listen, if you're driving home right now, stuck in traffic, or just sitting in a parking lot pretending like you're still on a phone call so you don't have to go back inside, you're in the right place. Right? This show's all related, yeah, but honestly, it's for everybody, because whether you sell cars, houses, ideas, it doesn't matter. We're just here trying to help you survive, work, and keep your sanity. Man, we're going to talk real life, real news, real opinions, and probably a couple moments where you're going to be like, yep, that's me. My name's Sam Cox, and along with me is my man, Evan Walters. Evan, how was your day, brother? We have a guest. Can you go ahead and let's introduce our guest today?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a guest. We've got Mr. Jon Blakely in the house. Everybody give him a round of applause. Thank you for joining us today. Hey, real quick, Jon and I have known each other for a while now. He's an amazing guy. He's an amazing leader. He not only has got one store, but I believe a couple stores, right? To number one?
Yeah.
A couple different franchises, a Ford and a Hyundai store, right? So he's great with working in a dealership, but I know you've got a bigger picture, right? You're not just there to make money and sell cars. You're there to make an impact, and that's why I asked you to come on the show, because I know that you care about your people, you care about the customer, you care about the experience. So let's go ahead and dive in, man. Give us a little intro, a little 30-second. Hey, this is why I got into the industry, and this is where I'm at today.
Yeah, you know, I think we spoke a few times that the car business, especially in today, right? You're all about, or everybody's all about AI and trying to be innovative and talk about the next biggest thing. But at the end of the day, it's still rooted and based in relationships and helping people. So whether we're helping an employee or helping a customer, it's all about helping a person truly get from point A to point B, and that's what has driven us to trudge into the number one position at a couple different stores, and then really transform our employees and our customers' lives, because it's just that small 30-second interaction from a first impression that leads to a lifetime of relationship. So that's what we focus on in our day-to-day.
I love that. I love that, man.
That's awesome. That's exactly the way we teach it, is like having like conversations. I mean, hearing that is absolutely hearing it from somebody else. You know, with our listeners, when they hear this and they hear me preaching, like having conversations and just talking and going back to that way, you know, that's great to hear it from somebody that's number one in the state of Indiana. I mean, that's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Jon, tell us, like, did you just wake up one morning in 6th grade and raise your hand and say, "I just want to be in the car business"? How did Jon get in the car business, man?
No, I did not. When I was in 6th grade, I think at that time I wanted to be an astronaut or something along those lines.
Right,
you know,
now
something
you might be in the moon.
extremely ambitious. I thought today would be the day that I'd be on the backside of the moon, but that didn't work out. But no, I got in the car business 16 years ago, just replying to a newspaper ad. So I came out of college. I was in the insurance business organization, and it just wasn't working out. I just didn't vibe with the agent that I was assigned to at the time. So applied for a newspaper ad, went to a little job fair, hired on the spot, started off green pea on the floor selling cars, and took off pretty quickly. You know, 3 months after that, and then kind of working my way through the ranks.
I love that. I love that, man. That's, you know, similar to a lot of us, I would think, right? A lot of us, this industry embraced us, and whatever we put into this industry, what I've seen, whatever we put into this industry, it tends to give it tenfold, right? You started as just an ad, and now you're running dealerships, and you're helping other people create big impacts in their lives. So tell us, let's dive into the number one thing, right? Like, I know you just joined this group a couple months, 4 or 5 months ago, right? Is that right?
Yeah, right at 5 months ago, took over here.
Okay, 5 months ago. So what, like, if we're talking to people that want to be leaders, what's one or two things when you jump into that store, you're brand new, you take on this GM and big leadership role, what are some things you start to implement?
You know, to me, it's basics, right? So it's understanding the simple road to the sale and relentless follow-up. So just making sure that we instill a consistent process that we follow. You know, Ryan Roman and his team, I don't know if you see him across LinkedIn and some other social platforms. He talked about greater people with consistent process equals awesome stores. So that was the model rolling into 2026, and we really embraced that. Understanding that consistent process doesn't mean perfect process. It means something that we really kind of study on a day-to-day and week-to-week and month-to-month basis to make sure that we're staying efficient within that process. Because as you guys know, everything's always changing. There's always new tech. There's always new trends. There's always, different seasons. There's always, anything that can affect. We had blizzard roll through here a few months ago. Now we're in the middle of a war. So there's all these excuses, but if we stay consistent to that process and going back to the old road to the sale, and really focusing on our relationships and building value, that help springboard us back into that number one or into the number one position. So, and really being intentional with our words and our actions. So it's cool to sit in meetings. It's cool to sit in these conversations and talk about it, but it's, what are we doing? We have 15-minute huddles every couple hours of, hey, where's everybody at? What's going on? What can I help you accomplish? And where do we need to get to?
I love that.
Well, and that brings up a good point. I was getting ready to ask you, like, how do you believe, because accountability is like one of the big things for me. I coach it, I teach, I think, accountability is one of the key parts of a dealership, but how do you coach accountability in your store without losing that like culture, that growing, winning culture?
Well, to me, it's all about making sure we're focused on accountability, but also focused on the wins, right? So we don't end a meeting on a negative note. We end a meeting on a high note. So, and sometimes accountability can be perceived as something that's negative, but it's just a couple tweaks here and there that get that person right back on track. And we have a process that's in place for a reason. But we're always open. If there's a different way that someone thinks of that process, or a different angle that they have that we can innovate and, again, be more efficient, we take that into consideration. So it's not that it's a one size fits all type of process. It's let's actually have conversations about what's working and what's not. But at the end of the day, we still, whatever we decide on is what we decided on in that moment. And everybody's marching to the same drum that they have to follow that same cadence.
I love that. Love that. That's like Sam. That's something that we say here a lot, right? It's just two words. Always got the phone rolling.
Always.
He's calling, baby. But we have these two words that are very impactful, and it's question everything, right?
Yeah.
And I love that you said that you lined perfect with that. Like, just because it's working and it's good doesn't mean it's the best. So I'm okay if a detailer has a better idea about how to do something with detail. I'm going to listen to them, right? If a salesperson has something that they want to bring up about a remote deal process, we're going to listen to you. I don't care your position. We're going to give you the stage, and then we'll come together as a team and say, this is the way that we're going to roll. Clarity, right? I love that, man.
Exactly. Yeah, clarity.
Well, and thinking, I was just going to say, and thinking like that, we were number one, in the state of Kentucky, number two in the nation at one point back in the day. And, that was the one thing where we always questioned every little thing. So what would be one thing you would question right now in that store? You've been there for a few months. What's one process that you're thinking, what, maybe we could, and I'm not saying question as a way of like, question this, but what's one thing you think you might be able to tweak a little bit to make it even take it to that next step?
Well, we always kind of tweak our follow-up process really on a week-to-week basis. So it's everything from what is the template flow look like that's built inside the CRM, to what are the responses that are going out, to what's AI saying to our customers nowadays, is that effective and is that efficient, to what are we saying in our videos, what are we saying on our phone calls. That's a process that we typically always question. And one of the things we found recently is, going back to the old school road to the sale, we always thought of building value as either building a interpersonal relationship or feature dumping on the vehicle. And we found in today's market that building value really comes to being efficient to the customer's time and respectable to the customer's timeline on how they want to buy and when they want to buy, and just being direct, right? So I think we just got an email where everybody's seen the new FTC rules or whatever it was, passing out fines because there's, just pricing that's all over the place and fees that are getting hidden on. We found, look, we're going to advertise a price. We're going to honor that price. We have options just like everybody else does. If you want to buy an extended warranty, you can. If not, there's no hard feelings. Our deal's still on the table, and we'll sell you the car. But just kind of eliminating that back and forth early in the process, just to being direct, that builds a lot of value with the customer today.
Yeah. I definitely align with that. I have a saying in F&I, and I know Sam has some sayings on his side as well, but transparent, clear, and convenient, right? I want to figure out how to be as transparent, clear, and convenient to that customer that I can, and you align with that, man. You align with that. Sam, any questions from him? You're leader to leader, right? You've both built up, and Sam's known for taking people under his wing and getting them to get their full potential, right? Over what, 5,000 people over the last decade or so that he's helped promote and are in management or GM or owner. Some of them are in managing partner roles. So, Sam, one leader to another. What you got for Jon?
Yeah, I want to know. Tell me something that frustrates you today about the business. You've been doing this for 16 years. I've been doing it for a little over 20. What is one thing that you think is frustrating today versus like when we were kind of like growing up in the trenches? What's one thing today?
One thing today that's frustrating? Outside of the manufacturers?
Oh yeah. Outside the because dude, we could go on for a couple hours on that one. So yeah. Besides the manufacturers, man.
You know, I think one thing that is frustrating, maybe not the right word, but opportunity, right, is really just the used car market. It just from COVID through today, just being all over the place, whether it's supply of people or supply of cars. It's just been a hard thing for everybody to put their thumb on, right? Back in the day, you know, it was easy to make profit in the used car department. You know, cars weren't advertised on all the third-party sites at a race to the bottom price. Inventory was there. You had cars coming off of leases at reasonable prices and reasonable residuals that manufacturers and finance companies didn't mark up to market value. So, you know, I'd say the used car industry right now is frustrating.
So,
And you've mentioned a few times the road to the sale and AI. You've mentioned both of those, which is like two things that I teach and preach. So tell me a little bit. I want to know, like, what's your thoughts on AI in our business right now?
AI in our business right now, in my opinion, it's an assistant, right? So it's an assistant that helps us stay consistent in the process, and it fills the holes to where you know, an actual person isn't available. And you know, I always tell the story. A few years back, we had a lead that inquired through the CRM and asked a very specific question. It said, what is the cab to axle ratio on this GMC 3500? And I saw AI's response, which was the correct and exact response within seconds. And the customer replied, "Wow, that's impressive. I'll be there tomorrow to buy the car." the truck. The next day in our sales meeting, I asked the entire sales floor what the cab to axle ratio was, and only one person knew what it was.
Yeah, I believe that.
It's AI actually sold that truck for us, which was impressive. But you know, you got to embrace it, just like anything else, right? You know, 15 years ago it was Facebook, and it was the internet, and it was a little bit of video, and then it's, you know, old school guys. I don't got to do that. I get people off the lot and I close my deal myself. I don't need anything, you know. But it's the faster you embrace the technology, and really it's making our jobs easier. Where we don't got to do a lot of the monotonous work. We just, you know, AI can write vehicle descriptions pretty quickly and automatically, reply to emails, reply to customers, and remove a lot of that downtime from our day-to-day that allows us to focus on the relationships and focus on training, cultivating, and selling more cars.
I love that, man.
Cool.
I love
yes.
Yeah, it's like it's stacking up, right? It's just another form or another thing that we can do to get better on a day-to-day. It's not a replacement, right? Some people think of it as a replacement. It's just stacking. We're stacking. We're getting better. We're developing ourselves and our tools and techniques. One question that I had that I thought of, so we always had that underdog mentality, right? Because we were number two. We were never number one in the nation. Number two. So it gave us that fight and that push and strive to hit that number one spot. Now that you're at number one, where's that underdog mentality? What's your next 2-3 moves while you're number one? How do you distance or gap that number 1 to number 2 spot now? Because you really don't. I mean, you're already at the top. So what are some things you focus on to keep the team motivated and pushing forward?
Well, I mean, it's keeping everybody goal driven, right? So, and challenging their average. So the ceiling then becomes the floor for them. And once that ceiling becomes the floor, then we're taking additional steps to continue to grow. And then from there, it's showing the market, right? The culture. So this being a great place to work with a great team atmosphere to where guys are helping each other out. But to grow that additional gap, is just making sure we continue to challenge people and not accepting them to fall to average. And with the understanding that we're human, right? There's things that come up. There's guys that are going to need time off, girls that are going to need time off, and it's part of the business and things that we do. And family is just important or even more important than selling cars and working within these walls. But we grow, or I've helped teams grow by actually showing that we're human. And we're not just a robot. This isn't just an operation focused on maintaining the factory. The factory is built by the people. We take care of the people take care of the customers, and it all funnels down into more business for us there.
Love that. Spot on.
We were talking before we jumped on here, Evan. You've seen some of their products that they're coming out with right now is incredible. Like that new one. I may be interested. I didn't know it was 2030, but it's the Boulder. You see, it looks like almost like a Bronco. It's an off-roady.
Yeah.
Hyundai, like I can literally remember a few years ago, it's been a little bit more than a few years ago, but training finance guys on like, make sure, hey, listen, and the desk guys, make sure if it's a Hyundai, make sure, or Hyundai and Kia, it was like 80% of like the trade-in value or something like that. It's all like some banks would loan on it. It's like, and now I go into these these stores and it's like, wow, that's a Hyundai? Yeah. They look incredible, man.
Yeah, wasn't that the commercial? It was like, okay, Hyundai or something like that.
It's funny to think of now, man. I mean, I'm like, that's a Hyundai? Like, it's incredible, man.
It is.
So what is Jon like? What is Jon outside the store?
Man,
I know you're a G, and you're like, and there is an outside. So
right now I'm at the store. But focus on development. Focused on growing personally. Trying to lose some weight, right? Staying in the gym, probably as most of us are, and staying healthy and spending time with family. So that's me outside the store. But right now I'm at my family's here. We're focused on building this thing right now.
Good. Great answer.
Love that. We got to focus on ourselves. And a lot of the times in this industry, like on this show, we definitely talk about business and automotive, but we also talk about personal development because we fully believe that if you're not right up here in your mind, you're not going to perform right? That's just like we reference athletes a lot, right? Even professional athletes, they work on their mind, body, and spirit, not just on how far can I throw a ball? Can I make a three? And what's my percentage, right? Like they focus on their self and building their selves. One thing that when we go into stores, and Sam, you can speak on this too, because you're in stores a little more than I am, but what's the main thing about getting that shift from our people to not only focus on their targets, because that's already a big goal, right? But focusing on yourself and finding the time, and how do you keep people self-motivated and focused on a personal goal as well as a professional goal? Like, what are some strategies that you use at your dealership, Jon?
I tell people, it's funny, we just had this conversation because we were talking, typically once every couple of weeks, but probably once a month, guys are always talking about who's the GOAT in the NBA right now, right? Is it LeBron or is it Jordan? And then there's some pretty heated debates that go on. It's always pretty hilarious, but we were talking a few weeks ago about how in the NBA, because somebody was making fun of LeBron for taking some time off or whatever it was. But, I said that's kind of the message of the NBA and the NFL right now is body preservation. It's recovery time. So it's not going, 24/7 just to improve your stats, but it's taking time to make sure you take care of yourself. So we talk about that as well here. And quite frankly, the Roman organization does a really good job at that. They provide, vacation after 90 days instead of the typical year. We get paid charity days. volunteer days to go out into the community, and there's several projects that everybody can sign up for. And then, you know,
that's cool.
additional paid time off. Yeah. And it's promotion from the top within Roman Automotive that really helps these guys. And then we just carry that message through here to, hey, look, you know, yes, this business is a lot of the times a momentum business. But if you don't take time off to really focus on yourself and guide yourself and spend time with your family, to take a step away, because sometimes it just takes that step back to see the project and the goal a little bit clearer. So removing guys from the cloud and the focus of the target and the consistent target, hitting the target consistently, to you know, go take your kids out to dinner, go spend some time with your wife, go take a, you know, we'll do little competitions of, you know, here, so you hit your target, or you get, you know, we have different goals. Take this weekend off and take your family to Florida or Nashville or Chicago, somewhere for a couple of days, just to get out of the store, because we can get tunnel visioned too much to not see the entire picture.
Well,
Damn, Evan, you remember when we sent that guy on the cruise? It was like that contest. We sent somebody, paid for a cruise for
There you
like
go.
for the guy, and he took a woman with him that he had just met or something, I think.
Yeah, it was like a March Madness.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was March Madness that like win a whole cruise.
Yeah, yeah, but no, John, I align with that. And that goes to the infinite game versus the finite game, right? Simon Sinek talks about preparation for the infinite game rather than just looking at these small windows. But in this industry, Sam and I both know we're 30 day by 30 days, right? Hero to zero. That's the big thing, right? So taking that microscope and extending it out to where now we can focus on the bigger picture, developing our people, keeping them. Because Sam, you're in this lane a lot too, but people are a high commodity, right? It's one of the biggest capital of a dealership. If you have to constantly turn over your people and train your people, I mean, speak on that, Sam. What's the difference in keeping a squad for a long time and building them up and just having some high performers in and out of the stores, right? There's a big difference.
I mean, there's a huge difference, and it starts with the culture. I mean, we were able to continue to build a store, and the culture stayed that way because we kept our core. We were able to keep that core. That core continued to grow, so the core just continued to get bigger and bigger. But we've very rarely ever lost anybody, and all it does is allow you're not having to start over constantly. And that's what a lot of dealers are doing. They're constantly they're hiring the wrong people. Then when they hire, then it goes to they're having to get rid of that person. Now they're starting all over again. They're trying to find it on job boards. They're trying to do this and that. This doesn't work. It's got to say something to where you're keeping your people as long as you can, and things like what he's talking about. I mean, imagine having we did something similar, just the one time though. We did that Dan Cummins Deeds where we actually did stuff for like a couple month period. But imagine having like time off or time to be able to do stuff for like charities and things. That's really freaking cool, man. Yeah. Really cool.
I love it.
Jordan or LeBron? You didn't answer that question.
I'm from Ohio, and I watched LeBron play in high school, so it's LeBron.
Okay, well, I'm from Ohio too, but I still gotta go Jordan. So I had to know, man. So even though I love watching LeBron, I've always been a gigantic fan of LeBron. I still gotta go Jordan. So
yeah, oh man,
totally different beast right there. But I want to end today with a couple takeaways that you could give someone. Say you just hired a new salesperson and they're looking to get to your standards. You talked about follow-up. You mentioned video, which a lot of dealers don't implement video. Like, what's one or two things that you could tell a new salesperson trying to sell 25, 30, 40 cars a month? What's one or two things you would tell them?
You're currently employed with us at this dealership within this dealer group, but don't lose sight of building your own brand. You have to go out on the town and shake hands and talk about what you do on a daily basis, and you've got to convey that message outside of these dealership walls. And if you can build that brand to where you can sustain without dealership advertising, dealership marketing, whatever it may be, then you'll be successful. And we're going to give you the roadmap, and we're going to give you the the foundational bricks in order to do that and support you behind your goals and building your brand. But at the end of the day, you still have to pick up the phone. You got to make those calls. You've got to be disciplined and not motivated to follow the process. And because there's going to be several times where motivation doesn't carry you through, and it's just going to be a string of bad luck that you've got to stay disciplined to doing the same thing day in and day out to see consistent results on a long-term scale.
Spot on, dude.
Bro, that's some good deep stuff right there. I love it. That was great. That was very good.
Spot on. Well, Jon, thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
For joining.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Keep
All
rocking.
right, guys, we're going to finish this off the right way, and that's the same. That's when we win the day. So I need everybody on count of three. Let's all say "win the day." Okay, 3, 2, 1. Win the day.
Baby, let's go.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go.